Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders are both populists, despite being diametrically opposed on nearly every issue. And it's more likely than not that you right now view the world through the lens of populism. So then, what even is populism? Why has it become especially popular recently? Why do so many people see it as a bad thing? And what's the good side of populism that nobody is talking about? At its most basic, populism is the idea that society is divided into two antagonistic groups, the people and the elites. The elites are those with the most power, wealth, and status in society, while the people are, well, everyone else, or those who lack everything the elites have. Going a bit further, populists believe the elite are corrupt, while the people are the moral majority, and that they should be the ones with the political power. Populism isn't a new thing, but more people now than ever have found themselves agreeing with this idea, and it's unfortunately because more people now than ever are feeling ignored and left behind. Why? Well, there's a lot of reasons, so I'll just share 4 of the big ones. 1. Economic problems like stagnant wages and job losses already make people feel left behind, but it hits even harder during a recession, or when you see others doing fine while you're struggling. 2. When a culture shifts toward more liberal values, those who believe in more traditional values feel like they're being pushed aside or worse, actively attacked for not being politically correct. So, for example, in the past, this might have meant allowing black people to enter whites-only areas, but now it's more like allowing same-sex couples to marry. 3. Rapid changes in technology, the job market, culture, and increasing globalization can make everything feel uncertain and unstable. And 4. Governments genuinely haven't done enough to address what's outdated and who's falling behind. It's not hard to see each of these things happening in our world today, but even though populism has risen and fallen many times throughout history, I'd argue there's another reason unique to now that explains why populism has risen so dramatically recently. You see, populism's simple yet emotional messaging makes it perfect for social media, since it pushes content to people that's engaging and keeps them on the platform the longest. All this frustration needs to go somewhere, so many of these ignored people direct it at the government and those in power, seeing them as partly responsible for their struggles. And depending on the type of populism, of which there's a lot, they might find other people or things to blame. For the sake of this video, we'll just focus on 2 broad but common forms of populism. And just a quick warning, these are general patterns, so they might not align perfectly with each individual person. When populism combines with socialism and progressivism, you get left-wing or social populism. When it's combined with nationalism and conservatism, it becomes right-wing or national populism. Left-wing populism focuses on economic elites. The enemy is seen as corporations, billionaires, and the politicians who serve them. This type of populism argues that a small group is getting richer and more powerful at the expense of everyone else. In this view, the elites are often seen as the richest 1%, while the people are the hardworking 99%. Right-wing populism focuses more on cultural and political elites, but what's unique about it is it frames the conflict more as the people versus the elite and outsiders. The people are seen as ordinary, patriotic citizens, while the elite are those with power who help outsiders. So these could be mainstream politicians, the media, and international groups who push a globalist agenda. Outsiders are often viewed as immigrants or other ethnic and religious minorities. The threat is a small group changing the country's way of life and favoring outsiders over ordinary citizens, both culturally and economically. I hope you're now seeing the connections to real-life politicians like Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, because while they're wildly different, they both promote that same core narrative of society being the people versus the elites. But a concerning thing you might have already noticed is that sounds a lot like us versus them, which that type of thinking leaves out nuance, fuels division, dehumanizes others, and makes meaningful understanding or cooperation nearly impossible. But this actually isn't what most people worry about when it comes to populism. You see, populism can cause a democratic society to slide toward authoritarianism. Populists frame themselves as being the sole representative of the people, and thus they can justify doing whatever they want because they have the will of the people. So these checks and balances that are supposed to prevent leaders from overstepping their bounds, well, those have been captured by the corrupt elite, so they should be ignored. And that is the truly terrifying part. When enough people believe this and stop supporting democratic institutions, a populace can gain power to break them, opening the door wide open for an authoritarian takeover. Even with all of that, there still is a good side to populism. Populism shines a light on real issues that regular politicians have long overlooked, and it gets people interested in politics and the democratic process again. So yeah, there's a lot to worry about populism, but as long as we try to use its momentum to create constructive change, we might actually find ourselves in a better, more democratic world. Thank you for your patience with this video, and thank you to my members and to you for watching. Have a great day.